Is the real estate market finally slowing down? Which way are prices going? Which way are rates going? Well, we're going to cover all of that and more on this episode of the podcast. My name is Chris Grano. I'm with Keller Williams Infinity right here in Naperville. I'm the host of the Naperville Real Talk podcast, and this is a special once-a-month episode where we cover all things Naperville real estate. Be sure to subscribe on whatever platform you listen to, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, on YouTube. Please leave a comment or a great review, and be sure to share it with a friend. And we're going to get into all of that and more right after this. This is the city we call our own. These are the stories of the people we call our neighbors. This is the heartbeat of our hometown. Naperville, this is Real Talk. All right, welcome back to Naperville Real Talk. This is the podcast where we talk about all things Naperville, and we keep you updated on what's happening in Naperville real estate. And this is our February monthly market update, and I'd like to welcome our monthly guest, Mr. Todd Gosden of Compass Mortgage. Todd, how are you doing today?
Good, Chris. How are you doing today? It's nice to be back again.
Absolutely. I'm doing good, man. It feels like real estate's back in full swing, like the spring is here in full force.
In January. Exactly.
Yeah.
The snow is gone and people are very, very active. So it feels like
man.
We're in March and April right now.
I know. Just a ton of conversations over the last 4-6 weeks or so.
That's right.
With buyers and sellers. And we'll touch on that. So I want to keep everybody engaged right from the get-go. So we're going to do a little something different today. I'm going to give a quick tip up front here, and then we're going to get into Naperville numbers, and we're going to talk about something that is going to be a huge advantage for home buyers in another competitive home buying season. Does that sound good?
That sounds awesome. I'm so excited. I can't wait to hear.
Good. All right. So today's quick tip, and if you follow me on Instagram, just at Chris Grano Realtor, you can see this on my reels, and be sure to check out other tips I have. But this is just 5 simple and inexpensive improvements that you can make to your home to improve the value if you're planning on selling. So if you're going to get ready to sell this year, these are 5 things you want to look at, and it's going to make you money. Trust me. So number 5, or number 1, however you want to go, is paint. Okay. Paint is easy. It doesn't cost a lot of money if you paint. And even if you hire somebody, it's not the most expensive thing in the world. So paint the walls, maybe paint the cabinets if you got some kind of old dated looking cabinets, but it's super easy. And if you need a color recommendation, reach out to me. I'd be happy to tell you what my stagers are recommending. All right. Number 2, carpet. So if you have carpet and it hasn't been cleaned in a while, please clean it. If you want to replace it, if it's really dingy or torn up by the dog, definitely replace it. And a cheaper way to go about it is rip it out yourself. It's super easy. Get a little aggression out, right, Todd? You can work on the triceps and the biceps.
Oh yeah, right? Absolutely.
And it actually saves you money because if you throw it out yourself, they're only going to charge you for the install and not the removal and disposal. Number 3 is hardware. So cabinet door pulls or drawer pulls, things like that. It's so easy. Even fixtures, right? So like faucets on your sink, things like that. Change it from, the old builder's grade or whatever was, hot 15 years ago to more of the modern look. Okay, so maybe a brushed nickel or a brushed brass, something like that speaks today. Number 4, light fixtures. Same thing. If you got 90s light fixtures, and I had them in my house, get rid of them. You want to update, and they're not that expensive. You can go on Amazon, Wayfair, super easy, and update it for today. And a little side tip with that, Todd. Todd, you ever seen these houses? And if this is your house, don't say anything. Have you ever seen these houses where they have those like really harsh-looking light bulbs that kind of look fluorescent? They almost have like a bluish glow to them.
Yeah, like a garage light.
Yes. Get rid of those. And change them over to warmer bulbs. So LEDs out there, you can customize the look of the LED bulb, and you're shooting for 3000 K, which stands for 3000 Kelvin. That's the color that you want. All right. And then the last one is stage your home. And this one's it's not as complex as you think it is. It doesn't mean bring in a truck of furniture. Usually it means consult with a stager and a real estate agent and move some things around, purge all the junk, stuff things in the closet, put them in the garage. And I promise, Todd, they're going to make, thousands of dollars on these tips. You wouldn't be mad if I cut you a check.
I love it.
You wouldn't be mad if I cut you a check for a few $1,000s, would you?
No, today's fine.
You'd cash it, yeah.
Yes. Yes, I would.
Okay. All right. So I wanted to get through that. And so now let's talk about the numbers, okay? So we've been we try to dive into this every month, and I know people appreciate this. We're in a new year, so we had the January update. Now we're here in February, okay? And so we can look at a full year of data, and we had some milestones, Todd. So I hope you're ready for them. We just hit for the first time ever the median single-family home price is $600,000 in Naperville. So to give you a little context,
Wow.
right? I know that is a wow. Little context for that. The high in 2008, right? So right before the downturn in the market was 455,000. Yep. Just 5 years ago, we were at 422,000, and now in 5 years we've gone up almost 50%. So to $600,000. So for the people who keep saying things like, "Oh, home values are going down," well, maybe in my email, I'll put it in the notes down below. If you can send me some evidence that home values are going down, I'd love to see it, but I haven't seen it. So just saying. I mean, it's a big deal, right? And it's great news for homeowners here in town. And if you're looking on where to invest your money, Naperville is about as good as it gets here in Chicagoland. All right, but let's talk about inventory. So what has inventory done? Well, the good news there for buyers is we actually saw our first full year since the pandemic of no decline in month's supply of inventory. So most of last year, the month's supply of inventory was pretty static. And this last month, it actually ticked up just a little bit. So we went from 1.2 months supply of inventory to 1.4. That's still pretty low. But the good news is it's so far it hasn't gotten lower. So if you're last fall, for the folks who said, well, I don't know, there's not a lot out there. Well, look again. There's more than there was. So I think that's good news. Would you agree?
Unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah, boy, you're really discharging some of the rumors going on out there, aren't you,
sorry.
right now?
I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. All right, median sale price to original list price. All right, so that's the rate at what homes are selling for. In other words, in layman terms, people ask me, how much can I negotiate off of the sale? This is that figure. This tells you about what you should expect to negotiate off the sale. And right now, we're still at 100%. So meaning right now, you shouldn't expect to be able to negotiate much off the sale. All right? Unless it's a property that's been on the market for a long time or has all kinds of condition issues. Talk to your realtor about the best way to go about that. But if you're coming in thinking, I'm going to get a deal, there's not a lot of deals out there. I'm sorry. That's just reality.
There's not enough houses to be a deal.
No.
Right? There's too many people wanting to buy houses to find a deal right now.
Yeah, and the deal is getting a house and not missing out on equity improvement. We talked about that last month. If you thought last January, well, I'm going to wait till I can get a deal, and you wanted to try to get 3 or 4 or 5% off the house, well, you missed out on 14% appreciation, okay? Don't miss out again this year. A couple other quick stats. Median days on market, no decline in 14 months. No increase either, but no decline. So we are on median days on market in Naperville, 8. So the average home is selling in about a week. Okay, and then one more thing I'm going to mention, and these last two things are we're going to kind of segue into what I want to ask Todd about. Todd, I held an open house 3 weeks ago. We talked about this. I had 22 buyers come through. Okay, so I know what the data says, and I know that for a while rates were up, and now they're lower, and I know that for a while applications were down, and all this talk, right? 22 home buyers walked through that house. Out of the 22, I had separate meetings later on with 4 of them. There are people ready to go. But what I will say is I've had several of those folks that want to go out and go looking at homes, and they don't have everything in the proper order. And so now they're missing out, right? So there's still quick pace of sale. And if you don't have things in order, and if you don't have extra tools in your toolbox as a buyer, you are going to miss out. So what I want to talk to you about, Todd, is one of the big advantages that your team offers that I think is fantastic, and it's one of the first things that I mention to buyers when I'm talking to them, is the Get Committed program.
Yeah.
And it's a huge advantage in going to purchase a home that you'll have over other buyers. Can you tell us what that looks like?
Well, it's everybody has traditionally always said, "Hey, I'm looking to be pre-approved." And essentially pre-approval nowadays means that, hey, we're going to paint that financial picture. We're going to ask you for a pay stub or a W-2. We're going to ask you for an asset statement just to confirm the data. And then what we do is either our underwriter looks at it or we run it through what they call an automated underwriting system that gives us the approval for the person, which is great. But when you're in a market, which we have not seen until the last few years, where you have such a huge pool of buyers in relationship to actually homes for sale, when you're going in and you're going to see one of Chris's houses, let's say hypothetically, and there's 20 different people putting in an offer on it, even 5 different people putting an offer on it, what's going to change from you from everyone else?
Right.
What does that look like? What is the difference that's going to make Chris want to choose you over the other 4 if they're all comparable? And let's just say there's even a cash offer in there, right? And I think the difference is you can take it one more step and just say, we're not going to pre-approve you. Let's get you completely cleared to close other than title and appraisal. And that may take 5 extra days to do, but your agent is not going to care about that if you're doing it far enough in advance. Because once we know that the loan is cleared to close and I can issue what they call a commitment from us saying, hey, cash is available. All we got to do is go through the title and the appraisal, and we can close technically in 15 days or less. Now, all of a sudden, is a cash offer really better than having a clear to close loan? That's where you as a listing agent can say, well, I still have to show proof that I have to get the cash and the cash is available, versus saying, I have something clearly stating that this person is done. The opportunity to win. Now, here's the measurement of that. What we did was measure that over the last few years. And it showed that people had a 75% greater chance of winning by being approved versus being pre-approved. Wow. That's a big number. Think about the statistic on that. How many times have we seen people over the last 2 years going, I'm just tired of this. I'm tired of always losing. I'm tired of there's being 12 and 14 offers and I keep losing. This is an opportunity for you to win. And it's very simple. It just adds 5 more days or 6 more days to the process. But if you're working on things far enough in advance and Chris is your agent, he's not going to care.
No, because you're gonna give the pre-approval in the meantime, which is great.
That's
which
right.
Is great. And then we'll be out there looking for homes, and by that time you'll have this ready.
That's right. The whole point to that is you're engaging in an experience that is typically emotional. And all you and I are doing is bring logic to it, saying, if this happens, this gives you an upper hand, but it also creates peace for you when you're doing it because you know exactly what you're getting.
And not only does it give the listing agent and the sellers reassurance about that your loan has been looked at and now not just pre-approved
right.
but approved, but it speaks to the whole feeling, because you just said emotion. It's emotional for sellers too, right? So I have sellers. I try my darndest to keep it very logical for them, but they're human. They're human beings, right? And sometimes sellers will say things to me like, "Chris, this doesn't feel right," and I have to help them interpret whether they should act on that or whether maybe that's just a false feeling. Sometimes
exactly.
Right? But when I can say, "Hey, listen, this buyer is approved," it not only is it a financial thing, it's a whole feeling thing, because it speaks to they're doing things the right way, they're responsible, they're responsive, right? Because that means they've given you more documentation, they've given you more attention, and so it creates a whole picture. And let me tell you something. I have had a few homes on the market early this year, and one of the most recent ones, once again, multiple offers. And I can tell you we had 2 offers that on paper looked very similar. And so we had a discussion, sent a spreadsheet to the seller and said, let's discuss all these offers and let's talk about the ones that are kind of near the top. And on my spreadsheet, I include the first name of the real estate agent, and I include the name of the lender. And I always call lenders ahead of time. And so as a listing agent, all these things are important to me to help inform my seller. And
That's
on
right.
that sheet, those top 2 offers, one of the lenders I highlighted in red. Todd, is red usually a good color or a bad color?
That's called red light, green light. Red light's probably not good.
They asked me, why did you highlight that in red? And I said, well, let's talk about that. I said, these other lenders I have in some capacity worked with before. They have good reputations. They're responsive, etc. This lender I've never worked with before. That doesn't give it a bad strike automatically. But I researched it, and I found that several colleagues, including colleagues that I know personally and trust, gave them scathing reviews online for how the quality of the experience was working with them. And so my strong recommendation to you is do not consider that offer. So the reputation of the lender is immense in this process. And if you think as a buyer that you're just going to click a few buttons and go to www.internetlender.com or www.bigbankthatdoesn'tcareaboutyou.com and get your pre-approval and you're going to be fine, you are wrong. I'm sorry.
Yep. Well, it is. And there's the thing it's no different whether it's my world or your world. It's the same thing, right? It's an experience that you want to give them that they won't soon forget. And it's an opportunity to show people what a great experience of buying a home is about. Because honestly, there's no better way to create wealth than buying homes and buying dirt.
Amen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's all you can say. I mean, so I think again, I just encourage people, take advantage of these tools. If you're confused, if you don't understand, give Todd a call. He'll walk you through the whole process. You're not going to be faced with some website that you're trying to click through and get information. You're going to talk to a real human being who cares about your individual situation. So please do that. Todd, before we go, I just want to give a couple of quick plugs for the people. If we've got anybody looking for a property in about the $400,000 to $500,000 range, I've got one coming soon. It's Aurora with Batavia Schools, so that's a pretty sought-after school district, and it's in a great little neighborhood right by Marmion Academy. So ask me about that. And then, boy, have you seen some of the podcast episodes that we are releasing and about to be releasing? It's exciting stuff. So
really exciting.
So for the beer lovers, we just released an episode with Joe Chura of Go Brewing in Naperville. That was an awesome episode. Joe's an incredible, big thinking guy, and I was just like geeked to talk to him. So check that episode out. That's available now. And then in the coming weeks, here are some of the amazing guests we've got. Michael Brott from the Bit Improv Comedy Theater, which is just across Route 59, right by the Fox Valley Mall. We've got Jason Aries, Naperville Chief of Police, and Jackie Thornton, the principal of Naperville Central High School. So some incredible people we're going to talk to in the next few weeks on the podcast. So please make sure you subscribe.
Nice.
Right? YouTube, wherever you're looking, do it now. And Todd, I think that's all we got for this week, this month.
I love it. Boy, oh boy, I can't wait for the next coming weeks. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you again in March, and everybody have a great rest of your week.